Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look at a Soulforge and tell you what I think is worth crafting from there, and what you should maybe possibly avoid. And we'll also take a look at this weekly event group, Ghoulmoth. Ghoulmoth? Anyway, deals magic +1 damage to the first 2 enemies, then creates 2 ghost gems, then destroys 8 gems. So, some damage to the first 2 enemies, and some mana gen at the same time. Has Undying, so he's immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy and deathmark. And a 15% chance to create a ghost gem when its turn begins. And it gains a little bit of life when it gets a 4 match, so it's okay, nothing special about it, but the damage to the first 2 enemies is okay, I suppose, if nothing spectacular. But it's not entirely rubbish, so 5 out of 10 for you, matey Ghoulmoth mate. Anyway, Chuck Norris didn't dial the wrong number. You answered the wrong phone. Oh god, they tickle me. Chuck Norris, what a legend. Right, what was I doing? Oh yes, stuff. So we're going to get that. Nearly forgot what I was doing then. Let's get that to Mythic level if you have the spare glory. If not, just grab at least 1. And we'll upgrade that to Mythic level later. I do like to grab the resources from the Spores of War at the same time. Good to get 10 of them, because you know how much you want some more treasure maps. It's really for the event keys and a bit of gold really, but hey, it is what it is. Right, let's jump into the Soulforge, see what's going on in there today. Oh, I think I'm having funny tea again. Oh. Right, let's take a look at the weapons first. Same as ever, not going to go over all the ones that I hear on a regular basis because they are in my Soulforge extra video, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And don't buy the Burning Pride from here, or don't craft it from here. It is the same weapon that is in the event, so craft it from there instead, because it's basically for free if you do it that way. If you do it from here, you've got to spend your lovely diamonds, and you don't want to do a thing like that. Just spend some gems in the event shop instead. But yeah, nice weapon though. Exploding magic +1 red gems, grant a random status effect to all Raksha allies, and summon a Raksha troop. So a nice explodey summony weapon there. I do like them. Right, all these are in my Soulforge extra video, so not going over those again. And first up we have a Beastly Bow. Technically second up because we've done that first one. Does magic based damage to an enemy boosted by beast allies, then create a mix of 6 green and yellow gems for each beast ally. So uses blue and brown, generates green and yellow, so at least have a couple of extra troops in your team that use those mana colours to benefit from that, because otherwise you're doing it for a laugh, and there's no point doing it just for a laugh. And we have a weapon which, if you haven't got, you absolutely want to try and get it today. The awesome, spectacularly, ridiculously good Rope Dart. Eliminate all armor from an enemy. That's right, all your armor, bang, bosh, gosh, gone in one go, and deal magic +3 damage, then pull them to first position. But what makes it so awesome is not just the fact that it eliminates armor, does damage and drags them to the front, which is good enough on its own, but the upgrades are ridiculous. It also has Tangling and Quick. Tangling entangles that troop at the same time as doing that, so dragged to the front with Entangle means you're now safe from skull hits at the same time, as well as those natural benefits of being able to pull anybody you like to the front. Somebody dangerous, get them up there, get them killed off, happy days. But it also has Quick, which is an extra turn. It's obscene, it's absolute filth is Rope Dart, so get it, it's great. Next up we have Cat's Paw. Damage to an enemy boosted by Pride's Lands allies, then create Pride's Lands? Pride Lands! Then create a mix of 6 green and red gems for each Pride Lands ally. So a bit like the other one, this uses blue and yellow but generates green and red. Make sure a couple of those Pride Lands allies at least use green and red to benefit from that mana. Spear of the Pride, kind of the anti-Pride Lands weapon in a way. Removing all red gems, one of the colours they're deemed to like the most. Then deal damage to an enemy based on your magic, boosted by gems removed. If the enemy is from Pride Lands, or if the battle is in Pride Lands, deal double damage. I have to concentrate saying Pride Lands now all of a sudden. It's very strange. Keep on going to say Pride's Lands. I have no idea why. But one of those weapons that is cheap to craft, just a mere 75 diamonds. And you may think you're not going to use it, but it's always a good weapon to pick up. These cheap weapons from the Soulforge costing just 75 diamonds. Because basically you're going to want to upgrade your kingdoms eventually, and you could be weapon blocked, which is basically where you need a certain amount of weapons upgraded fully from that kingdom to upgrade that kingdom. So it's a good one to pick up for that reason alone. Very cheap indeed. Black Mane's Claw. Deal magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by Raksha allies. Then create a mix of 6 red and brown gems for each Raksha ally. So same as the other one, you know the story. This uses green and yellow, creates red and brown. The rest you know. What else do we have? Twin Claws. Explode magic +1 green gems. Grant a random status effect to all beast allies. Then summon a beast troop. So another explodey summony weapon. Do like them a lot. Very handy indeed. Especially if you're a newer player. You can have one of those second or third down in your list, these explodey summony weapons, and basically give yourself a chance if you lose a troop by getting a constant summon. Wand of Stars is not in my Soulforge extra video, but it's here, and this weapon basically came out after I made that video, so it's not in there, but it's absolutely the best weapon in the game. Yes, even better than the mighty rope dart, but if you can get both, get both. But thing is, even though this is a better weapon, I would say get rope dart today if you can't afford both. And the reason is, this is here every week. Rope dart isn't. So if you can only afford one of the other, Wand of Stars or rope dart, get rope dart today, because you're not going to be able to get it for a while again afterwards. But Wand of Stars is here all the time, so that is a reason to craft the rope dart instead. What else we got? We have a Doomed Dagger. Dealing magic-based damage to the last enemy boosted by red gems. If they have a doom, deal double damage. There's a 3% chance per tempering level to kill the enemy. So that tempering level is super low at first, and then it goes up to barely 1 in 3 at full level. So yeah, not a fan of that sort of thing myself. Not a fan at all. Shadow Hunter's Claw. Deal magic +1 damage to the first 2 enemies. If Shadow Hunter is on my team, gain 5 attack. So yeah, not very good. More collectible than anything, and the reason is you have to have a Shadow Hunter on your team to get that 5 attack, which is not exactly a huge boost, is it? And then you kind of forced into half your team already, because you obviously would pick this weapon and have to pick Shadow Hunter to get that. So that's like, yeah, collectible. But yeah, it's one of those low ones, 75 diamonds to craft. Death Rites. This should be good by the sound of it. It sounds bad enough. Explode a column, create a death mark gem for each skull or purple gem in the chosen column. So actually not bad. This is a sort of weapon that's actually good if you're a newer player to the game or don't have particularly powerful stats. Exploding that column is going to generate mana. And you've got 2 options there to create a death mark gem for each skull or purple gem in the chosen column. And then you can have a chance to actually death mark the enemy and get lucky and see if they just randomly die or not. But yeah. Still not my favourite type of weapon, that kind of thing. And what else we got? That is it. So let us now observe the troops, see what's going on with the troops. Same as before, I'm not going to go over all the ones that are in my Soulforge extra video. But first up, have a little gander through these summoning stones ones here, especially if you're a newer player. See if there's anybody that you don't have. Oh, a couple of nice ones here. Bog Strider, very good indeed. Destroying magic +1 gems and entangling a random enemy, but only 8 mana cost is really good and inflicts entangle when doing skull damage. That's a pretty cool troop. That is Moon Rabbit, starting battles with full mana, converting blue to yellow, giving life to all other allies and blessing the first ally at the same time. So a couple of good ones there. Nothing too spectacular from there. Oops, wrong button tomfoolery going on. Oh, Daughter of Time. Absolutely. If you missed her quite recently when she came out, then absolutely get her today if you can from these summoning stones. Create 5 hourglass gems and 5 freeze gems, then gain an extra turn. And a 50% chance to convert a yellow gem to an hourglass gem when my turn begins. Very, very cool indeed. Anybody standing out from there? Not really. And ditto for that. Right, let's take a look at the troops. Let's start with the mythics and move on to the legendaries. Let's see who is first up. Qeutzalma. Deal magic-based scatter damage boosted by a chosen gem colour, except yellow. Then create 10 yellow gems and remove all gems of the chosen colour. Now, I can actually charge pretty quickly with that because it does start the battle with a light storm as well, which is yellow. And it can actually, like I say, like be quite dangerous if it generates yellow non-stop, because it's going to fill up and do it again. And even if you kill the thing, it has a 20% chance to resurrect itself with full mana when it dies. So yeah, Qeutzalma is okay. Quite like it in a funny sort of way. Pharoah Nefertani. Weird one this. She's kind of standing there saying, does my bum look big in this? Dunno. Deal magic based damage to an enemy boosted by death mark enemies, curse and disease all enemies. The spell sounds pretty rubbish for a mythic. I mean, curse and disease all enemies can be handy in certain situations depending upon the team. And obviously the boost is only if they're death marked. And she will death mark a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems. Presuming that the devs put a lot of weight to the power of somebody based on death mark. I mean, they can die straight away, but there's also quite a lot of troops which are immune to death mark as well. And it's quite easy to cleanse off troops now with things like the Wonder Stars as well. So that death mark a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems is actually not as fantastic, I think, as it initially sounds, even though the devs do seem to put an awful lot of weight onto her because of that, because the spell itself is actually very poor. Like the damage to an enemy, it's not even all enemies, that's just one. So yeah, don't know, rubbish. Yes, not good. Megavore, this is more like it. See, this is the kind of troop when it came out and I first saw this, it was kind of a little bit like the Elementalist effect. When you very first saw that Elementalist third trait, burn, stun, freeze and entangle a random enemy we're matching a 4 match, you thought that's got to be a typo, they got to change that, that just sounds mental. I remember seeing that when I first saw Megavore. I thought, what the heck, that's got to be wrong. Eliminate all armor from all enemies, then deal a huge amount of damage, like more than double magic, to an enemy and submerge itself. It's just like eliminate all armor from all enemies. I thought that can't be right, but it is. That's exactly what it does. Absolutely awesome. And its traits are really good as well. Gain 2 life on 4 or 5 gem matches. Immune to all status effects, devour, lycanthropy and mana burn. But to top it off, you have the rather awesome death below. 80% chance to kill the last enemy on 4 or 5 gem matches. So when you consider like Pharoah Nefertani is also 24 mana cost, and you compare that to Megavore, it's also 24 mana cost. It seems a bit strange, but it is what it is. But yeah, Megavore, absolutely stunningly good troop. And we have, last not least, Queen Aurora. Pretty underrated for me. Give all other allies barrier and magic +1 life, then create 10 gems of a chosen colour. So life for everybody else with a barrier and a chance to create a ton of mana at the same time. The cool thing about her is that last trait, Rainbow Link, gain a bonus mana from all gem matches. This is really, really powerful when you've got a team where the first 3 troops, for example, are the bread and butter of your team. They're the ones who do all the heavy lifting. They're the ones who do all the damage. And that 4th slot is kind of a bit spare. It's a bit vacant. You don't know what to do with it. This is where it's really good to use something like Queen Aurora. You can just chuck her in there, knowing you're going to get bonus mana from literally everything. Really, really cool for that. And also gain 1 magic when an ally casts a spell is not bad either. So that is the Mythics. Let's have a little gander over the Legendaries. We have the awesome Web Spinner. Crikey, there's so much good stuff in this Soulforge. This is a really good Soulforge. Damage to all enemies and poison them, then create 9 green gems. So it can self-charge and do that again. So that is a really good weapon. Good weapon. Well, it is a good weapon. It's a good troop. And it's a she, by the way, in case you didn't know. But anyway, damage to all, poison, can self-charge, do it again, and has that ridiculously awesome set of traits. Snare, inflict web when doing skull damage, and lethal toxin, deal triple skull damage to poison and webbed enemies. So it just does triple damage to almost anybody that's not impervious or invulnerable. So very, very good indeed. Absolutely fantastic troop is Web Spinner. One of the ones to pick up. I don't normally say to craft legendaries from here because they're much easier to get from the chests than say Mythics are, but Web Spinner is one of the ones that maybe is different to that rule, along with other troops like Tesla, for example. Basilisk, also not bad. Deals magic +1 true damage to an enemy. If the enemy is poisoned, deal double damage, then deal the same amount of true damage again. And if they are stunned, deal double damage. and they may be stunned because of that petrification. Stun a random enemy when matching brown gems is good as well. So Basilisk, another pretty cool troop. Who else we got? Obregonia. Damage to all enemies and inflict bleed. So a nice basic damage to all troop there, with some bleed at the same time. And bleed a random enemy when matching green gems is okay. And Essenzia. This is the kind of troop which is improved for me lately. Some troops start off bad and then they get better depending upon how the game progresses. A little bit like Voice of Orpheus, the Mythic. It was like deemed like rubbish for so long, and then Elementalist class came out, and with that cleanse all allies on matching yellow trait is that's Adagio I think it was called, then it's just improved him absolutely massively. Now with the advent of troops like Stellaryx and Diamantina, then these dragon teams have got even more powerful. So having something like this on the team where all dragon allies start with 50% mana is really, really good now. It wasn't so hot when it came out because there was no crazy powerful dragons, because the spell is actually pretty poor, but it's not about the spell, it's about that 50% mana start. You can have a Stellaryx Diamantina team, start them with this and Leprechaun, cast Leprechaun, charge up Stellaryx or Diamantina and just wreak havoc on the enemy team. So very, very good for that alone. And I think that was it. So who gets my Mighty Mythic of the Week award? Well, it's certainly not going to be Pharaoh Does My Bum Look Big in This Nefertani. And we know it can only go to Megavore, basically. Eliminating all armor from all enemies, dealing a massive amount of damage, submerge itself, chance to kill any enemy, the last enemy on 4 or 5 gem matches, and impervious is absolutely a ridiculously powerful troop. So good. Absolutely vital to craft this if you can, and the awesome rope dart as well at the same time. Why not? It's a superb Soulforge. But there's a video. If you enjoyed it, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. It really does help. And feel free to share the video amongst your fellow Gems of War players, things like that. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.